Hello again, it's Franklin Jones, author of The Black Matrix. Uh, Today, this brief presentation is entitled, They Treat Black Leaders Like Weeds in a Garden. That's the topic. Today, so often, Black people, we ponder, why is it isn't we don't have another Malcolm X? Why is it we no longer have another Dr. King? And then there are those who would say because they were special, it was divine, the divinity that brought them here, and we don't have any more of them. I've even heard some people say it'll be another 100 years before another leader like Dr. King appears. I've heard these saying, but no, this is not the truth. The truth is we exist under a subjugation system that was developed in the 1960s in response to the unprecedented unified Black protests. That's the reason why you're not seeing Black leaders is because of systems that were implemented in response to the 1960s. White social scientists studied the African American population and they studied our leaders. And they recognized that it was by giving our national leaders a media platform that their popularity grew, that their following grew. So they got stronger, their ideology grew. So today, the white society knows when there are Black leaders who speak true liberation, they don't give them a national platform. They starve them of a national platform as a gardener would. A gardener has weeds growing in his garden. He doesn't provide fertilizer to it. He doesn't provide water on it. He starves it from that. Why? Because he don't want the weeds growing through his garden. Likewise, the white society now do not provide a national platform, media platform to true Black leaders because they don't want the ideology of Black liberation to spread throughout their garden of white supremacy. So now they deny it. Even when you're watching those Black summits and you see all these Black people on the panel, there is a national list of Black people who are not allowed to be given a national platform. There's a list. So when you watch those programs, but the plot of Black people, you'll have these people there talking. You'll have different around political groups. Some are Republicans, some are Democrats, and they're arguing. They have rappers, but they don't. You notice they're not talking true liberation. They're talking and they give lively debates and it's entertaining, but there's no substance to what they're saying. There's no substance. There's no terms of Black liberation. There's no ideology towards the elevation of our people. We go back and forth, just talking and complaining, arguing ourselves. This is by design. They put these people out there to give the appearance. This is how they keep our ideology dumbed down. This is how they keep our minds directed away from true liberation. You're watching the stage, you see T.I. and Candace Owens going back and forth. Why are they there? Why do we listen to those people? Shouldn't we have social scientists? Should we, Black social scientists? Should we have true Black leaders who are talking about liberation? But what the white society does is they keep the term of Black liberation outside of the psyche of the Black masses. Therefore, that's why we now have a population where most of us don't care about Black liberation. We only want a comfortable footing within the system of white supremacy. Our mindset that directly correlates with the needs and goals and objective of the white society is by design. It's always by deliberate design when the oppressed starts thinking exactly as the oppressed wants them to. Because we were born in this mental enslaving system, we've normalized it. The white society don't give us true leaders. Now, these puppet leaders are merely gatekeepers for the system of white supremacy. They actually work for the white establishment. The white establishment tells them which issues to address. Okay, they can run around when a cop kills a Black man and stand up there and get in their accolades. I'm a Black leader. But true liberating information, they don't talk about. You see, the government, those Black organizations are 501c3 nonprofit organization. They can have their funding stopped by the U.S. government. So therefore, if they take on an ideology, they take on an ideology of liberation, which is against the interest of the white society, that they can stop their funding. So that's how they control them. There are greater issues that they don't talk about. Greater issues that they don't talk about, such as the what's happening to our children in our schools. Now that's a major issue because it happens to millions of children, millions of African American children every single day. Every day, of course, except Saturday and Sunday, every school day, something's happening to our children. And they close their eyes because they're not allowed to talk about that. And what's being done to our children is something designed to maintain white supremacy well into the future. Like, we all know that we're learning more Black racially affirming facts from each other than we do so from within our schools. But most of us don't know that's a social science. In order for a dominant group to maintain their position of social dominance over the subordinate population, they must deny them of a racially affirming education. When the subordinate population is denied a racially affirming curriculum, this psychology conditions them to accept a subordinate status within the dominant society of their oppressors. This is what social science says, conditioning the subordinate population to adhere to the authority of the existing dominant society. During our education development, white children are being miseducated to believe that they are inherently superior and are supposed to rule over Black people. And Black people are being conditioned to believe that we are inferior and to be more compliant with white dominance over our lives. This is the social engineering that's happening during our school. But do our so-called leaders talk about it? No. You know, Dr. King said that when he was talking about integration, he says that shortly before he died, he says, I fear that I'm moving my people into a burning house. In reality, segregation in our schools damaged Black people. Because when we were teaching ourselves, we were building our own cities, we were doing all our inventions. When we moved into the schools, we now delivered our young impressionable minds into the hands of our oppressors. And even when you have a Black teacher in front of the school, in front of the students, when you have a Black principal in the office, the curriculum is designed to support and sustain the system of white supremacy. You notice how everything we read about is exalting of whites? That's by design, because according to social scientists, in order for people to have an inspiring future, they must have an inspiring past. Because people's self-image is developed by what they're taught to believe about themselves, and their future aspirations are shaped by what they did in the past. Their abilities of the past, the achievements of the past, steers their aspirations to the future. This is why social science says those who control the past also control the future. So the educational system is designed to nurture the self-esteems of Caucasians, to bolster self-esteem and to inspire their future aspiration. And it's being done, the collective self-esteem of whites are being falsely bolstered at the expense of the collective self-esteem of Black people. Now, this is a social science fact. All the experts know that how education affects your future, okay? How it inspires you towards a certain future. Now, with that in mind, Black children are taught in America that our history started with slavery. We are taught that because it starts in slavery, because in Africa we was illiterate and uncivilized. So look at the damage what's being done to our children. Now, the white society knows enough to whitewash the history books to inspire their children's future. So look what they're doing to us. They're attempting to stifle our future. They're attempting to brainwash future generations of Black people through the socializing of our schools. Socialized is when the dominant culture exploits the monopoly over information that's fed into the mind of the subordinate population to condition the subordinate population to function and perceive ourselves in a manner that aids them maintain their social dominance over us. When a Black person walks up to a white person and feels somewhat subservient to the white person, it's not because of a slave syndrome. It's because of the narratives that we're taught, the education we're taught. Most Black people don't know our true contributions. Most Black people don't know that after slavery was abolished, African Americans submitted 724 patents to the U.S. Patent Office, more than double that of Caucasians, coming right out of slavery. You see, most people don't know that. Most people don't know without black people, we wouldn't have the internet, we wouldn't have motorized vehicles, we wouldn't have skyscrapers. We don't know these stuff. So the education system, my point is designed to maintain a system of white supremacy while subjugating black people. And it provides the white society with a type of subjugation that black people don't recognize. Since black people don't recognize it, it allows them to continue to subjugate us without black resistance. But none of our so-called leaders will discuss this because they're not real leaders. None of them will discuss this, and so much more things is happening to us. They won't discuss it because they're allowed to run around when a black person gets hit by a cop. They can jump around, but real issues that create significant benefits for our future, that leads us toward liberation, they don't discuss. They're not allowed to discuss. They're not allowed to discuss. We have black social scientists who can completely validate everything I'm telling you, but they don't say anything about it. The white society have created a system that's a well-functioning, white supremacy is well-functioning now. I'll give another example of how cunning these people are. During the life of Dr. King, the U.S. government declared him the greatest threat against the system of white supremacy, the number one threat. In 1999, the King family brought a case against the U.S. government in which the U.S. government was found guilty for being implicated in the assassination of Dr. King. Okay. Now, after all that, after saying that he was the worst threat to the U.S. government, the United States, even though being found guilty in conspiracy with his death, they gave him a holiday, and they boasted a statue of him. Do you know why that's being done? That's being done because they're using his message of nonviolence. They're making him the role model. Be like King, be like King. Even though they beat him, even though they kill him, even though they jailed him, and even though they assassinated him. Now they use his image of peace, nonviolence and peace as a role model that we should all follow. But the reality is, they don't give a damn. Look what happened when Colin Kaepernick peacefully bowed his head in silence, taking a knee in protesting the cops killing black people. Look how he was treated. Was that not a peaceful protest? There was nothing more meek and peaceful than him sitting down and bowing his head. And look how the flag he got. You see, the white society, we are under the domination of an evil people. And their evil people have conditioned us to revere them and to hate ourselves, to believe their lies. And they have our true leaders on lockdown and have their puppets in their place. It's time for us to understand. That's why you're not seeing no more Malcolm X. That's why you're not seeing no Dr. King, because the white society won't allow those type of mindsets to get a national platform. See? So now they subjugate us and we don't even see it. And they subjugate us while having us believe it's we who are our worst enemies. Brothers and sisters, thank you. One love and peace.